Emily adjusted her light pink and white apron in front of the kitchen mirror. Today, she whispered to herself, no mistakes. 20 years old, chocolate skin, smooth and glowing, natural hair in a neat bun, simple lip gloss. She looked soft, but her spirit had survived Lagos traffic and stubborn bosses. She carried a breakfast tray carefully toward the dining room. Inside, Ikenna sat at the long 12-seater marble dining table, even though he was the only one there. He wore a crisp white shirt and tailored trousers, scrolling through his phone like the stock market depended on his mood. "Good morning, sir," Emily said politely. He didn't look up. She gently placed the plate in front of him. Fried eggs, toast, tea, everything arranged like a five-star hotel. He took one bite, paused. Emily held her breath. Then, "Too much pepper," she blinked. "Sir, it's just black pepper." "Exactly, why is it there?" She nodded quickly. "I'm sorry, sir." He took another bite. "And why is it not enough salt?" Emily stared at him. "Not enough salt, but too much pepper?" "Yes, sir." He leaned back dramatically. "Do you want to shorten my lifespan?" She almost laughed, but swallowed it. "No, sir. You people think running a house is easy?" "Excellence, Emily, excellence." She nodded again. Inside her head, this man will complain about oxygen if he breathes too deeply. Later that afternoon, Emily entered his massive walk-in closet. The room was bigger than her entire family house back in the village. Rows of Italian suits arranged by color, luxury watches displayed under soft LED lights, shoes lined up like obedient soldiers. She spent 2 hours reorganizing everything perfectly. When Ikenna entered and saw it, his eyes widened. "Who touched my suits?" Emily froze. "I was just arranging them neatly, sir." "Neatly?" He pointed dramatically. "My black suits were in strategic formation. Now they are smiling with the navy blue ones." She stared in confusion. "Sir, they are all black and blue." "That is not the point." She bit her lip. "I'm sorry, sir." He sighed loudly, like she had personally offended his ancestors. "Don't rearrange my success. Don't rearrange my success," she repeated in her head. "This man needs help." The next morning, she approached him in the sitting room with coffee. The living room smelled of oud perfume and fresh flowers. Sunlight bounced off the gold accents everywhere. She stepped carefully, but her hand trembled slightly. A drop spilled on the saucer. Ikenna slowly looked down at the cup, then up at her. The silence felt heavier than Lagos humidity. "Emily." "Yes, sir." "Are you nervous?" "No, sir." "Then why is my coffee shaking like it has malaria?" She almost choked. "I'm sorry, sir." He stood up slowly, tall and intimidating. "If you cannot handle coffee, how will you handle responsibility?" She blinked. "It's just coffee, sir." His eyebrow lifted. "Excuse me? I'm sorry, sir." He stepped closer. "One more nonsense like this, you are fired." Her chest tightened. "I understand, sir." He walked away like a CEO dismissing a failed investment. Her silent thoughts. Later that evening, Emily was dusting the gold stair rails. She muttered softly to herself. "This man complains like NEPA bills. Every day, new problem." She mimicked him quietly. "Too much pepper. Not enough salt. Don't rearrange my success." She rolled her eyes. But when salary day comes, silence. She paused. "Actually, he hasn't paid me this month." Her eyes widened. "Oh ho." She straightened up. "No wonder I'm stressed." That night she was vacuuming the rug in the sitting room. Ikenna was on a business call. "Yes, transfer the 50 million before noon tomorrow." Emily's eyes widened. 50 million? He covered the phone speaker. "Emily, why is this vacuum sounding like a generator from 1998? She quickly switched it off. "Sorry, sir." He returned to his call. She plugged it back in quietly. It made the same noise. He glared at her. She glared back for half a second. Electric tension. Then she smiled sweetly. He narrowed his eyes. War declared. That night the mansion glowed under warm chandelier light. The gold accents reflected against marble floors like something from a Billionaire's magazine. Ikenna stood on the balcony, overlooking the city lights of Lagos, powerful, feared, respected, but completely unaware that the small chocolate-skinned maid he constantly criticized would soon become the reason his heart would beat differently. Inside her small staff room, Emily lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. "One day," she whispered softly, "you will appreciate me." She turned to the side. "And if you don't, at least pay my salary." She laughed quietly. Outside, thunder rumbled faintly in the distance. Not the sound of rain, the sound of destiny preparing drama, because this was only the beginning, and inside this luxurious mansion of gold and marble, love was hiding behind complaints. Inside the mansion, peace was pretending to exist. Emily was kneeling near the royal blue velvet sofa, carefully dusting the gold-trimmed coffee table. "Today will be calm," she whispered to herself. The universe laughed. Outside, the sound of a luxury car engine purred into the compound. Emily stood up and peeked through the curtains. A white Range Rover. Her stomach tightened. The car door opened slowly, and out stepped Justina. 25 years old, dark, flawless skin glowing under the sun, long, wavy black hair flowing over her shoulders, designer handbag swinging confidently, red heels clicking like warning signals. She removed her sunglasses in slow motion and smiled. Not a normal smile, the kind of smile that says, "I own this place." The front doors opened. Justina walked in without waiting to be announced. "Ikenna, baby," she called sweetly. Ikenna descended the gold-railed staircase wearing a fitted navy shirt and tailored trousers. His face changed immediately. "Justina, you didn't tell me you were coming." She wrapped her arms around him dramatically. "Must I book an appointment to see my own boyfriend?" Emily stood frozen near the staircase holding a cleaning cloth. Justina's eyes moved toward her slowly, scanning, judging, calculating. "And who is this?" Justina asked, her voice sweet but sharp. "My May," Ikenna replied casually. Emily bowed slightly. "Good afternoon, Ma." Justina's lips curved slightly. "She looks comfortable." Emily blinked. "Ma?" "Nothing," Justina smiled. "Continue your work." Later that evening, the mansion kitchen glowed under warm ambient lights. Emily was preparing dinner carefully, jollof rice simmering, grilled chicken in the oven, salad neatly arranged. Justina entered the kitchen slowly, like a queen inspecting her kingdom. She leaned against the counter. "So, how long have you been working here?" 6 months, Ma." "Oh," Justina smiled faintly. "You must know everything about him then." Emily paused. "I just cook and clean, Ma." Justina stepped closer. "You cook and clean." Her eyes scanned Emily from head to toe. "And do you also entertain?" Emily's eyebrows raised slightly. "I don't understand, Ma." Justina laughed softly. "You will." Dinner was served in the marble dining room. Candlelight reflected on gold cutlery. Ikenna tasted the jollof rice. He nodded. "This is good." Emily almost fainted. A compliment? From him? But before she could feel proud, Justina spoke. "Of course it's good. I taught her how to cook properly." Emily nearly dropped the water jug. "When? Where? In which universe?" Ikenna looked impressed. "Really?" Justina smiled proudly. "Yes, baby. You know I always want the best for you." Under the table, Emily squeezed her fingers tightly. Inside her head, "Madam, if lying was money, you would be richer than him." Later that night, Emily was carrying fresh towels upstairs when she heard laughter coming from Ikenna's bedroom. Justina's voice echoed dramatically. "I think I should stay here for some time." "For how long?" Ikenna asked. She giggled. "As long as I want." Emily paused mid-step. Her chest felt strange. Why did she feel uncomfortable? She shook her head. "Focus. You are staff." But when she entered the hallway, Justina stepped out of the bedroom and met her halfway. "Oh, good. Bring those towels inside." Emily obeyed quietly. Justina watched her carefully as she arranged them. "You are very hard-working," Justina said softly. "Thank you, Ma." Justina leaned closer. "But don't mistake hard work for position." Emily slowly looked up. I don't understand. You don't need to. Their eyes locked. Tension. Then Justina smiled sweetly and walked away. Emily stood there confused. What is wrong with rich people in half sentences? She muttered quietly. The next morning, Emily was polishing the gold stair railings when she overheard something from the sitting room. Justina's voice was low and serious. Baby, have you updated your will? Emily froze. Ikenna laughed. Why are you talking about will? I'm not dying anytime soon. Justina's tone remained calm. It's just wise planning. Emily's heart skipped. Something about the way Justina said it felt wrong. Very wrong. She leaned slightly to hear better, but the conversation ended quickly. Justina's heels clicked toward the staircase. Emily quickly pretended to clean. Justina paused in front of her. You really like cleaning around where people talk. Emily forced a smile. I like clean spaces, ma. Justina leaned closer and whispered softly, Be careful where you stand. She walked away gracefully. Emily swallowed. God, she whispered quietly, this one is not normal. Ikenna's blindness. Later that night, Ikenna stood in the luxury sitting room holding a glass of wine. Justina rested her head on his shoulder. You trust me, right? She asked softly. Of course. Upstairs, Emily stood by the stair rail pretending to dust again, watching, observing, a strange unease settling in her heart. She didn't know why, she didn't know how, but she felt it. Danger was smiling in designer heels, and the man who insulted her about pepper and salt was completely blind to it. That night, thunder rolled faintly over the mansion in Banana Island. Not rain, not yet, just a warning. And in the quiet luxury halls, filled with gold and pride, jealousy had officially moved in. The next morning, Emily stood at the black granite countertop, stirring pancake batter carefully. Her pink and white apron was neatly tied. Her chocolate skin glowed under the warm kitchen lights. Her big brown eyes were focused. Today, she muttered softly, I will cook quietly. No drama, no complaints. No. Emily. She nearly jumped out of her skin. Justina stood at the doorway. Dark skin flawless, long wavy hair resting perfectly over her shoulders. Designer robe wrapped around her like she was born to command. Yes, ma'am, Emily replied politely. Justina walked in slowly, examining the kitchen like an inspector. I'll handle breakfast today. Emily blinked. Ma? You heard me, but Sir likes his eggs slightly. I said, Justina smiled sweetly, I will handle it. The smile didn't reach her eyes. Emily stepped back. Yes, ma'am. Inside her head, God, I hope she knows salt from sugar. Emily left the kitchen but paused near the corridor. Something felt wrong, very wrong. She quietly stepped back toward the kitchen entrance, just enough to see inside without being noticed. Justina was humming softly while making pancakes. At first, everything looked normal. Then, she stopped, looked around, slowly reached into her designer handbag. Emily's heart started beating faster. Justina pulled out a small glass vial. Emily's eyes widened. What is that? She whispered under her breath. Justina uncorked it and poured a clear liquid into the tea, slowly, carefully, like someone adding vanilla essence. Emily's brain stopped working. No, no, no. Justina stirred the tea gently, smiled, and whispered to herself, Goodbye, Ikenna. Emily froze. Her mouth went dry. Her boss was difficult, annoying, dramatic. But dead? That was too much. Emily tiptoed back upstairs, hiding near the staircase. Her heart was racing like Lagos traffic on a Monday morning. She peeked downstairs as Justina arranged the breakfast tray beautifully. Pancakes stacked neatly, tea steaming softly. Look at presentation, Emily whispered. Presentation of death. She leaned against the wall, thinking fast. Should I shout? No, he won't believe me. She imagined it. Sir, don't drink the tea, it's poisoned. Ikenna's imaginary voice responded in her head. Emily, are you okay? Should I reduce your salary? She shook her head. God forbid. She paced nervously. I could ignore it. She paused. But my salary. Her eyes widened. He hasn't paid me this month. She gasped dramatically. If he dies today, who will pay me? She clutched her chest. This is not even about love. This is about survival. In the luxury sitting room, Ikenna sat comfortably on the royal blue velvet sofa, wearing a fitted navy shirt. Justina walked in gracefully with the breakfast tray. "Baby," she sang sweetly, "I made breakfast for you." He smiled warmly. "For me?" "Yes, I decided to spoil you." She placed the tray on the gold-trimmed coffee table. Emily watched from the staircase like someone observing a crime documentary live. Ikenna laughed at something Justina said. Emily frowned. Look at him laughing like comedy is free. He picked up the teacup. Time slowed. Emily's eyes widened. Jesus. Without thinking, she ran downstairs. Her brain disconnected. Her body took control. Before she could even form a proper sentence, she landed on his lap and kissed him, hard. The teacup tilted. Hot tea splashed on Justina's designer dress. Silence exploded. Justina screamed, "Are you mad?" Ikenna pushed Emily away. "What nonsense is this?" Emily blinked rapidly. Her brain returned. Oh no. She looked at him, looked at Justina, looked at her life flashing before her eyes. "I just kissed my boss." Justina was shaking in anger. "She wants you. She's jealous." Ikenna stood up slowly. "Emily, explain yourself. Now." Emily swallowed. Her voice trembled. "Sir, don't drink the tea." He stared at her. "What?" "It's poisoned." The room froze. Justina laughed dramatically. "Wow, so this is the new level? Accusation?" Emily pointed at the tray. "Tell her to drink it." Justina's smile faded slightly. "I'm not hungry." Ikenna's eyes narrowed. "You cooked it." "I said I'm not hungry." Emily folded her arms nervously. "If it's safe, you can eat it." Justina stepped back. "You stupid maid," before she could finish. Ikenna raised his hand. "Enough." He pulled out his phone. "Doctor, come immediately." He looked at Justina. "And I'm calling the police." Minutes later, the family doctor tested the pancakes and tea in the same luxury sitting room under the bright chandelier. Everyone waited. Emily's heart was in her throat. The doctor looked up seriously. "It's poisoned." The silence was heavy. Ikenna turned slowly toward Justina. "Why?" Tears filled her eyes instantly. "You were going to leave me. Everything would be mine if you were gone." Emily gasped softly. "So you chose murder?" Justina glared at her. You ruined everything." Police officers entered and grabbed Justina gently but firmly. As they dragged her away, she screamed, "I will come back for you, Emily." Emily whispered quietly to herself, "Please don't." After the storm, the mansion felt different after that. Quiet, heavy. Ikenna stood in the middle of the sitting room staring at Emily, the same girl he had complained about over pepper and salt. She shifted nervously. "I didn't plan to kiss you, sir." He blinked. "That was obvious." She looked down. "I panicked." He walked closer slowly. "You saved my life." She shrugged slightly. "And my salary." He paused, then laughed unexpectedly. "For someone who complains about pepper, you were ready to risk everything for me?" She raised her eyes. "You may be annoying." He raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" "But you don't deserve to die." He stared at her for a long moment. For the first time, he wasn't looking at her like staff. He was seeing her. Really seeing her. And suddenly, the kiss didn't feel like a mistake anymore. It felt like the beginning. Outside, night settled quietly over Banana Island. But inside that mansion, love had entered through chaos, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 days after the arrest, Emily walked carefully into the dining room, carrying breakfast. Her pink and white apron was neatly pressed. Her natural bun perfect as always. Ikenna was already seated. White fitted shirt, sleeves slightly rolled, wristwatch shining under chandelier light. She placed the plate down gently. "Good morning, sir." He looked up. Their eyes met. Electric. He cleared his throat. "Good morning, Emily." She froze slightly. He said her name differently. softer. She quickly looked away. Your eggs, sir. He stared at the food, then at her. Taste it. She blinked. Sir? Taste it first. She looked confused. You think I poisoned it? He leaned back calmly. After what happened, shouldn't I be careful? She narrowed her eyes slightly. Oh, so now you are careful. He almost smiled. She cut a small piece and tasted it dramatically. See? Alive. He chuckled. You're bold this morning. She shrugged. Near-death experiences change people. He looked at her longer than necessary, and for the first time, he didn't complain about Pepper. All day, Emily tried avoiding him. If he entered the living room, she exited. If he came to the kitchen, she suddenly remembered something upstairs. If he called her name, Emily, silence. Emily, yes, sir, she would shout from far away. He smirked to himself. She kissed me, he muttered quietly, and now she's hiding. The confrontation in the hallway. That evening, Emily was arranging fresh flowers near the staircase when she almost collided into him. He stepped directly in her path, tall, calm, blocking her escape. She swallowed. Excuse me, sir. No. Her eyebrows rose. No? You've been running away. I have work. He leaned slightly closer. You had work the day you jumped on me too? Her cheeks flushed instantly. That was emergency. Emergency kissing? She covered her face briefly. I was saving your life. He tilted his head. You could have shouted. She thought for a second. That would have been less embarrassing. He laughed, deep and warm. The sound surprised both of them. The salary conversation. She cleared her throat. Sir, about my salary. He raised an eyebrow. Ah, so that's the real reason you saved me? She folded her arms. I cannot risk my employer dying before paying me. He pretended to look offended. So romantic. She couldn't stop the small smile escaping her lips. He noticed, and stepped closer. You know, I haven't been able to sleep. Her smile faded slightly. Because of what happened? He looked directly into her eyes. Because of the kiss. Her heart skipped. That was panic. Did it feel like panic? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. He leaned down slightly, so they were eye level. I have. Her breath caught. The hallway lighting was warm and soft. The gold railing reflected gentle light onto their faces. He lifted his hand slowly, not forcefully, carefully. His fingers brushed her chin. She froze. You saved my life, he said quietly. She whispered back. You would have complained about heaven too. He laughed softly. Probably. Their faces were inches apart. Her heart was beating loudly. If you kiss me again, she whispered nervously, this time it won't be emergency. His eyes darkened slightly. Good. He leaned closer. Closer. Just as their lips were about to meet, the doorbell rang loudly downstairs. They jumped apart like guilty teenagers. Emily stepped back immediately. I'll check the door. She practically ran down the staircase. He stood there, shaking his head, smiling. This girl. That night, Ikenna stood on the balcony overlooking the glowing city lights of Lagos. He held a glass of wine, but hadn't taken a sip. He replayed everything. Her panic, her bravery, her humor, her eyes. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about business. He was thinking about a maid in a pink apron. Downstairs, Emily sat quietly in the kitchen, staring at nothing. She touched her lips unconsciously. God, she whispered softly, why is he suddenly looking at me like that? She shook her head. He's still my boss. But her heart didn't agree. The new energy. The mansion felt different now, less cold, more alive. When she passed him the next morning, their fingers brushed accidentally. Neither of them moved away immediately. When he called her name, it sounded softer. When she replied, yes, sir, it sounded warmer. And somewhere between gold chandeliers and marble floors, between arguments about Pepper and accidental kisses, something dangerous was growing. Not poison, not revenge, but something much more complicated. Love. And this time, no one was running away. The mansion in Banana Island was glowing under the Lagos nightlights. But inside Ikenna's chest, war. He sat alone in his luxury living room. Italian leather couch, gold-accented center table, crystal chandelier reflecting against polished marble floors. And yet, The most dangerous thing in that mansion was not a contract, not a rival businessman. It was a 20-year-old maid in a pink apron. He was losing the battle. "Ikenna, behave yourself," he muttered, rubbing his forehead. He had built empires, closed billion-naira deals, crushed competitors, but he could not crush one feeling. Every time Emily walked past him, his body reacted before his mind did. The soft sway of her hips when she carried a tray, the way she bit her lip when nervous, the way her chocolate skin glowed against the golden interior lighting. He was falling, and falling fast. Emily was washing dishes when she felt it, that stare. She turned slowly. There he was, leaning against the kitchen doorway, watching her like she was fine art displayed in a gallery. "Why are you standing there like a ghost?" she asked. "I'm observing my investment." She blinked. "Investment?" "Yes, the woman who saved my life." She rolled her eyes. "If you're calculating salary, you haven't paid me." He pushed off the wall and walked toward her slowly, each step deliberate. "I owe you more than salary." Her hands froze in the water. "Sir, Ikenna." She swallowed. "Ikenna, please don't look at me like that." "Like what? Like you want to eat me?" He almost choked on air. "Emily." She burst into laughter. "See your face." But her laughter faded when he stepped closer. Too close. He lifted his hand. She stiffened. He gently brushed a strand of loose hair from her face. His voice dropped. "I don't know how to stop this." Her breath trembled. "Stop what?" "You." Silence. The water from the tap kept running. Neither of them noticed. He turned off the tap. Then he held her hands, still wet. "I've been angry all my life," he said quietly. "I complain because it keeps people away." She looked up at him, eyes soft. "You pushed me away every day." "I know. Pepper too much, pepper too small." He laughed softly. "You still remember. I almost resigned because of pepper." His thumb gently traced the back of her hand. "I didn't realize I was noticing you." "Noticing how?" "How you argue without fear, how you defend yourself, how you never looked at my money." She smiled faintly. "I was too busy trying to survive." His jaw tightened. "And that is why I cannot control myself now." Her heart pounded. He leaned closer. "Emily, I am not used to asking. I am used to taking." She raised a brow. "That sounds dangerous." He exhaled. "But with you, I want to ask." Her lips parted slightly. "Ask what?" He swallowed. "Can I love you?" The question hung in the air like fragile glass. Her eyes watered unexpectedly. "You don't even know me." She searched his face for arrogance. There was none. Just vulnerability. The kind that scares powerful men. She whispered, almost teasing to hide her nerves. "What if I add too much pepper in your life?" He smiled. "Then I will drink water and stay." She laughed softly, tears threatening. He leaned in slowly, not rushed, not desperate. This kiss was permission. His hand slid gently to her waist. Her fingers clutched his shirt. It was slow, tender, breath mixing, heartbeats sinking. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his chest. "You are trouble," she whispered. He smiled against her hair. "For the first time, I don't mind." Meanwhile, prison revenge. In a dim prison cell, Justina sat on her metal bed. Gone were the designer dresses. Gone was the luxury. Her hair was tied messily, her face bare, but her eyes, still dangerous. An inmate beside her smirked. "Rich girl, still thinking about your billionaire?" Justina's lips curved slowly. "He thinks he won." The inmate laughed. "You tried to poison him?" She leaned closer. "I never lose." She pulled out a hidden phone, smuggled in. "I still have people outside." Her voice turned cold. "That maid? She thinks she saved him?" Her nails dug into her palm. "When I get out, I will make sure she begs." Her laughter echoed softly in the cell. Dark, controlled, patient. Back at the mansion, intimate night. Later that evening, Emily was arranging pillows in the master bedroom when she heard his voice behind her. "You don't have to work this late." She turned. He walked toward her slowly. No anger, no authority, just emotion. "You're my boss," she said quietly. He stepped closer. "Not tonight." He cupped her cheek gently. "Tonight, I am just a man who cannot stop thinking about you." Her breath hitched. "Ikenna." He lowered his forehead to hers. You ran to save me, without thinking of consequences. She whispered, I thought of my salary. He laughed softly. You are wicked, but honest. His voice turned serious again. I don't want grateful to tie you to me. She looked up. I'm not here because of gratitude. Then why? She smiled shyly. Because when you stopped complaining, I started missing it. He laughed loudly. You miss my complaints? Yes. It means you are paying attention. He stared at her. You want my attention? She nodded slowly. He pulled her closer. You have all of it. He kissed her again, slow, deep, but this time with intention. The billionaire who once ignored her now couldn't breathe without her. Outside, Lagos city lights shimmered beyond Banana Island. Inside, two hearts burned quietly. But in prison, a storm was waiting. And when revenge walks free, love will be tested. For the quiet truth standing in front of him. Emily. Not in her apron this time. Not holding a tray. Not arguing about seasoning. Just standing there in a simple, soft blue dress. Her natural hair flowing freely over her shoulders. And for the first time since he built his empire, he felt small in the best way. The storm before peace. Justina had tried one last time. After securing temporary bail, she stormed into the mansion with drama in her heels. How dare you replace me with a maid? She shouted in the living room. Ikenna stood calm. No anger, no shouting, just clarity. You tried to kill me. Justina laughed bitterly. I was desperate. Emily stepped forward quietly. Desperate people don't poison tea. They pray. Justina glared at her. You think you've won? Emily shrugged lightly. I wasn't competing. That sentence hit harder than any slap. Justina's eyes burned with jealousy. You ruined everything. Ikenna's voice was firm now. No, you ruined yourself. Security escorted her out. This time she did not threaten revenge. She just looked defeated. Because she realized something terrifying. She lost not to money, not to power, but to sincerity. Later that evening, the house was quiet again. Emily stood by the large window, overlooking Lagos lights. I should resign, she said softly. Ikenna froze. What? You loved someone else before me. I don't want to feel like I'm filling a gap. He walked toward her slowly. Emily. She didn't turn. I was arrogant. I complained about everything. I treated you like background noise. He stepped closer. You were never background. She turned slowly, tears in her eyes. Then why didn't you see me? He swallowed. Because I was blind. Silence. Then he did something shocking. The billionaire bent one knee. Emily gasped. Ikenna? He held her hands. I built companies, bought properties, acquired assets. He looked up at her with vulnerable eyes. But you are the only thing I don't want to own. Her lips trembled. I just want to choose you. Tears rolled down her cheeks. You are impossible, she whispered. He smiled softly. Will you stop being my maid and start being my partner? She laughed through tears. Does that mean I can still complain about Pepper? Only in our kitchen. She pulled him up before he could finish, and kissed him. Slow, deep, not desperate, not dramatic, just certain. Months later, the mansion felt different. Warmer, lighter. Emily now walked confidently through the house. No apron, no fear. Ikenna no longer shouted from rooms. He searched for her instead. One evening, he wrapped his arms around her from behind, while she stood on the balcony. You know you still owe me salary for that month, she teased. He laughed. I'll pay you with interest. Oh, really? Yes. He gently placed his hand over hers, and over the small bump beneath her dress. Her breath caught. Are you ready to be a father? He smiled, eyes soft. With you, I've been ready since the kiss. She shook her head playfully. Imagine, the man who complained about Pepper is now romantic. He leaned close to her ear. I still complain. She raised a brow. About what? That I didn't fall in love with you sooner. She melted against him. Love didn't enter the mansion with fireworks. It entered with arguments, with sarcasm, with accidental kisses. With a maid who refused to hate a man who treated her poorly. and a billionaire who finally learned that control means nothing if you cannot control your heart. Never judge people by their position. Ikenna overlooked Emily because she was just a maid. He learned that value is not in job titles, wealth, or status. It is in character, loyalty, and heart. Pride can blind you. His constant complaints about pepper and perfection were not about food. They were about control. Pride prevented him from seeing someone who genuinely cared for him. True love is proven in action, not words. Emily didn't confess love with sweet speeches. She proved it when she risked her job, and even her dignity, to save his life. Jealousy and greed destroy from within. Justina's desire for wealth and control led her to poison the very man she claimed to love. When love is mixed with greed, it becomes dangerous. Kindness wins quietly. Emily did not compete, manipulate, or fight for attention. She simply remained sincere. In the end, sincerity defeated revenge. Sometimes, the person you ignore today may be the one who saves you tomorrow. Love does not enter with noise or pride. It enters quietly and changes everything. Please comment. Let us know what you have learned from this story. Like and subscribe for more of Billionaire Romance Story.